Hello and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm making an Under the Sea card with a sunshine background. Today's video is part of a hop with the Facebook group Handmade Happiness. And we do a hop once a month called Card Hoppin', where we're each challenged to go with a theme and to pick one of two techniques to use with the card. So that gives us a challenge to try new things. So today's card, the theme is sunshine, and we could either do an embossing folder or a stencil. I'll be using a stencil. So I'll put a list of all the participants in the hop in the description below. I encourage you to watch the next person in the hop. If you follow along with all the different people, you'll get several different ideas on the idea of sunshine, and hopefully it'll inspire you to try some new techniques. I decided to do an Under the Sea card with the sunshine to give a different variation of using sunshine. So I started off with some Bristol Smooth cardstock, which does really well with ink blending, and I'm using Distress ink. I started with Tumbled glass, but that was too light, so then I switched to Salty Ocean, and I like that a lot better. And I'll speed through this because you don't want to watch me blending for a long time. To make the rays, I'm using this Tim Holtz shifter stencil called Rays. You could use any sunshine stencil that you have. I'm just using some purple tape to tape my stencil down to my work mat so it doesn't move around. Then I'm just using a wet paper towel to dab around the stencil, and since I use Distress ink, it's water reactive, so it'll pull some of the ink off, and then it'll be lighter where the rays are, because where the sun's shining, the water will be lighter. Then I'm going to take my Fawn liquid Stardust, and I'm mixing that with some Distress ink. I'm using my Tumbled glass because I want it to be a lighter blue, and then I'm going to paint that on the rays, and that'll make it kind of sparkly and a little bit of blue color. Then the fun part is to reveal what's below. And then it turned out a little bit sparkly. And I'm going to let that dry while I move on to my coloring. I'm going to make an interactive card. So I'm using my Fawn Swish and Pop. And I cut out a rectangle to cover up the mechanism with my Bristol Smooth. And also the pull tab and a little arrow piece that'll show the recipient where to pull the pull tab. And so I'm using my tea dye ink to go over those pieces. And then I'm using my vintage photo to go over the arrow, and then I'm going to splatter that on to my rectangle so that it'll look like sand at the bottom of the ocean. For the next part, I'm going to stamp my images, and then I'll color those with Copic Markers. And these will be the images I'll use for my Under the Sea scene. So I'm starting with this really large stamp, and it was the first time I used it. It's from Sunny Studios, and it's called Tropical Scenes. So that had the coral reef here. It also has some vines that you could use for a jungle scene and kind of a palm tree in a lake, maybe for an oasis. I thought that would be good for scene building. I'm using some Heavenly White paper, which is Copic friendly because I'm going to color my images with Copics. And I'm using Fawn Jet Black ink because that's also alcohol ink friendly. So I had to stamp this several times. There was one spot I had trouble getting to stamp. And then I also stamped some images from the critters in the sea from Fawn. And I colored those with Copic Markers, but I did that off screen. Now that my background has dried, I'm going to go ahead and get everything ready to assemble. So this die is from the Swish and Pop mechanism of Fawn, and the sidebar there you just line against the card so you know where to put this rest of the bar, and it cuts the holes to put the mechanism so you don't have to figure all that out. And I'm just using some purple tape to make sure it doesn't move. This is the first time I used the Swish and Pop, and I figured out that the pull mechanism needed to be a little thicker and sturdier so that when you pull it, it can actually pull the mechanism. So I'm just cut out another piece of the pull tab and I'm just gluing it onto this one to give it a little bit more strength. Now for the mechanism, you use the hook-shaped die to cut out a piece of acetate, which I didn't have any, but I did have transparency film that you can use on a printer for printing things for overhead projectors that I used at a school I used to work at a long time ago that had, well, their technology in the room was a borrowed TV for about a half an hour a week and an overhead projector. It's very hard teaching technology with that. Anyway, I cut that out. Then you put a little brad through the pull mechanism and through the first hole, the one that's on the right-hand side. Then you take another mini brad, put that through the other hole that is on the acetate piece, or transparency, and it's the hole that is closest to the long arm. And then you stick it in your paper in one of the 4 holes that you already cut. And I decided I liked the way that it swished on the second one from the right. But depending which images you're using and how you want it to look, and here's just me testing it out. I decided I liked it on the second spot from the right and moved it over there. And now I'm just playing around with the turtle to see where I want to glue it and how it looks when it moves around. Now part of this is me testing it out and part of it is also me having fun. So I'm just getting it nice and straight. I'll put my paper on top, that's my cover, and then this is a die that comes with the mechanism that you put the bar against the paper, so make it straight, and then if you get your pull mechanism out straight so you can see where to line up the rectangle, that'll cut out a little rectangle for the pull tab to stick out of. Now that I've got it all lined up, I can use my scissors to cut off the extra part of the pull tab and also the extra acetate. Next, I'm gluing my arrow on the end of the pull tab, and I use Nouveau Deluxe glue for everything, including gluing my turtle to the acetate, and it did hold. Then you usually use foam tape to put the cover over the top, but I didn't have any, so I had a sheet of fun foam and I put some double-sided tape on that and I just cut it in strips. And I'm using that. So as you put your foam on or your foam tape, you just want to make sure that your mechanism can move. So I had to trim down the foam a little bit more so that it wouldn't get in the way. Once I got that done, then I used my Nouveau glue to glue on my coral and all my pieces that I colored earlier, and I fussy cut those since I don't have dies for these. You can see I played around with some of the images that didn't work on here because of the mechanism. They would get in the way. So I just played around with them, and the ones that didn't fit, I just save them for another card. I like making extra, then you have them for when you need to make a quicker card. I'll put a list of all the products that I'm using in the description below. Some of those will be affiliate links. The affiliate links don't cost you anything extra, but it helps you find the products, and I get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my website. Then I use my Scotch ATG gun to attach my card panel to my card front, and I found that it was hard to do the taping on the actual card panel because of the layers on it, so then I just did it on the blank card and put it on top. And you could use any kind of double-sided tape or glue to attach these. As a finishing touch, I'm using some crystal stickles to add some bubbles by my seahorses, and then I'm using glossy accents that I add to the shells on the crabs and the shells. I really liked how this card turned out. I like the swish and pop mechanism, and of course I like the under the sea theme. If you like this video, please give it a like and leave comments below. Also, I'd appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.